Hey, I'm Stephanie, and today we'll dive into the world of Calecim skincare because it has some pretty hefty claims and high prices. So I ditched my normal skincare routine and exclusively tested 3 products from Calecim for 3 months to see if it's really worth the hype and the high price tag, or if it's just another money grab. We'll discuss the benefits that the brand claims to have, and then we'll take a look at my before and after pictures to see if those claims came true and how much of a difference their skincare actually made. Because with a price tag this high, the products have to deliver. As always, I use timestamps so you can easily find the information that's most relevant for you. Before we jump in, here's my full disclosure. All 3 of these products were sent to me by the brand free of charge, but there was no requirement for me to talk about, review, or post about any of these things, and I am not being paid to make this post. If you've been following my channel for a while, then you already know that I turn down most of the PR that I'm offered, simply because I have a very limited amount of time to review things, so I want to make sure I focus on items that could genuinely potentially add value to my life and thus to yours. Or if not, then I can save you some money. Because I had been interested in this brand for years, I thought I would accept it because I thought maybe other people would have questions about it too. Now let's jump into the claims, and if you see me looking over in this direction, that's just because that's where my notes are and I don't want to miss anything. Calecim makes big promises of regenerating and revitalizing the skin using their unique PTT6 growth factor that is supposedly backed by science. But what exactly is this science? According to my research, Calecim's parent company is called Cell Research Corps. They're a medical technology company that creates stem cell-based treatments for healing things like burns and diabetic foot ulcers, not necessarily something we would all associate with beauty. But Cell Research Corps found that their drug, which is called Corlicite, if you want to look it up, it's apparently undergoing US FDA approval. But this drug was so good at promoting wound healing that it not only healed the wounds, but it also made the skin look really good. So the company realized that their research might go beyond medical applications and into cosmetic ones. So Cell Research Corps decided to also branch out into cosmetics, creating the brand Calecim. That's the story of how the brand came to be. It's where their science comes from and why I was so interested in trying it. And they claim that the science behind their topical products enables them to do much more than a normal cream could do. Normal creams can only affect the surface of the skin because they can't penetrate much deeper than that. But Calecim claims that their growth factors trigger what's known as a paracrine signaling cascade. And I did some research to figure out what that meant, and it turns out that is a chain reaction between the cells. So according to Calecim, when you put their topicals on your skin, a reaction begins at the surface, but then cascades down into the deeper levels of the skin, enabling things like increased cellular turnover and the production of more hyaluronic acid and collagen, all the way down into deeper levels of the skin, where normal creams can't have an effect. And this is what triggered my curiosity. The parent company is taking peer-reviewed science to create medical-grade solutions that promote healing, and then Calecim is taking that research to create science-backed cosmetics. Of course, that doesn't guarantee that they'll work, because as far as I can tell, science is basically just a controlled system of discovery through trial and error. So now let's take a look at my before and after pictures, and then we'll discuss the products that I used. But before we do that, I think it's important to provide context on the state of my skin before I started using the products. So first of all, I have oily combination skin. In my case, that means that I'm oily in the center of my face with enlarged pores, and the outskirts of my face are normal. And perimenopause has been changing my skin, making it look a little duller, my lines are getting a little bit deeper, and the changes in my hormones are also causing an increase in systemic inflammation, which has basically put my rosacea into a full-blown flare-up at all times. So that's causing a lot of texture and redness on my face. Each of the pictures in this before and after comparison were taken right after I woke up, with no makeup or skincare on my face, no filters, and in natural light. I tried to keep the lighting as similar as possible so that we can focus on the actual differences in the skin and not be swayed by tricks of the light. The first area I notice a difference is in my under eyes. I can see deeper lines in the first picture, and the skin looks dry and tired there. But in the after picture, my under eyes look hydrated and the lines are less pronounced. The second thing I noticed was the texture on my face, especially on my nose and cheeks. Although my rosacea is still there in the after picture, I can see that there's noticeably less of it. The last thing that I noticed is that my skin looks glowier. The dullness of the before picture is gone, and my skin looks much more refreshed in the after picture. And that is significant to me because I stopped using chemical exfoliants on my face during this test to see how well Calecim's products would work on their own. And this feels like confirmation of their claim that their products increase cell turnover. Are these huge, dramatic differences? No. I still look like me. I still look my age. My skin just looks noticeably happier and calmer, more hydrated, more luminous, and generally healthier. So what's the verdict? Is Calecim skincare a scam, or is their science worth the hype? Based on my experience, I'd have to say that their science seems to be sciencing, because this is the largest difference I've ever noticed in my skin when trying a new regimen. So what did I use? Calecim sent me several bottles of their professional serum. This tiny little 5 milliliter vial is filled with pink juice that smells like goat. Luckily, the smell dissipates very quickly upon application because as much as I love goats, I don't really want to smell like one. This is a very thin formula that has a consistency very similar to water, and it soaks into the skin incredibly quickly. I used this very sparingly because look at the size of this vial. It's like a baby bottle for a chipmunk. It's so tiny. And when you get it full price, it costs $100. I know. Why do you think I was so interested in it and yet never tried it until they sent it to me? Because that's a high price point and I just didn't want to risk it. I microneedle my face once a week, so I ended up using this once a week after that microneedling treatment because this is supposed to be an excellent post-treatment serum, meaning that it increases the benefits of any treatment you might undergo, whether that's an in-office treatment or in my case, something that you do at home. I also tried their multi-action cream. It's cosmetically elegant, feels soothing and moisturizing, although it's probably not rich enough on its own for dry skin. And this did not smell like goat. In fact, I didn't even realize that it had any fragrance in it until several times of using it because the fragrance is that subtle. I guess I would describe it as floral, but it's so subtle that it's even hard to tell. I used the multi-action cream every evening and then followed it with the Restorative Hydration Cream. Unlike the multi-action cream, this didn't feel hydrating or moisturizing enough on its own to make it a standalone product for me. But it was a very pleasant way to round out the regimen, especially in the summer due to its lightweight feel. This also seems to have the same very subtle fragrance that the multi-action cream does, and most days I don't even notice it at all. I used this every night as my last step. I was quite pleased with the results that I got from using all three of these products, but at such a high price point, the question becomes, do you really need all three of them to see an effect? And I would say if I had to pick and choose favorites, that I would probably pick these two over the Restorative Hydration Cream. The reason I would choose the Professional Serum is because this is the most highly concentrated version of the growth factors, and so I feel like it really packs a punch. But at this insanely high price point for this teeny tiny bottle, I can understand that that would just feel insane to most people. In that case, maybe the Multi-Action Cream would be a better choice simply because there's more. I felt like this was a richer moisturizer. As I mentioned, I don't think it would be enough on its own for dry skin, but for my oily combination skin, this actually worked really nicely. If you want to know if I think these products are worth the high price tag, that is an almost impossible question to answer because everybody has different resources available to them and different priorities for those resources. I do think that this is the most effective skincare that I have tried so far, but I don't think that I would recommend it for anybody whose skin is already at its peak. If you are a teen or in your 20s or your 30s and you're happy with where your skin is, then the fancy skincare will be waiting for you when you come around the bend. For those of us noticing changes in our skin, I can say that I saw visible, tangible, positive changes in my skin while using these creams. And although the differences weren't life-altering, they were there and my skin looked and felt better, more with these products than any other ones that I have tried so far. When it comes to the amount of product in the containers, I feel like I can eke out about 7 months of use. I tend to use products like this very sparingly because I want them to last a long time. And even with that sparing usage, I still saw the effects on my face.
As I was watching this back, I realized I was testing this on my face to see if it would work. And I wanted to make sure that I had enough product to do the full test. But if I were to buy this for myself, I would most likely also be using it on my neck and décolletage, which I wasn't using here. I was only using it on my face. So I don't think I would realistically get 7 months of use out of it in a real world situation. I think 5 would be more accurate.
Another measure of value is, do these more expensive products enable me to use fewer products overall? And I do think they can do that, because I could leave out things like my hypochlorous spray or my azelaic acid that I use to kind of calm my rosacea, because these did a better job of it than those did. That means that all three of my personal criteria for looking at the value of high-priced skincare have been met, and I would be willing to purchase these with my own money. Just not in the near future. I am someone who budgets, and just buying one set of this skincare would eat a massive chunk out of my current beauty budget. I feel no shame in admitting that something is outside of my budget right now, because it's just a sign that I am aware of my own priorities and my own resources, nothing else. And if I can adjust my budget upwards in the future, then I would be happy to give some of my hard-earned money to Calecim for these products. So if you happen to be in that enviable position already and you are looking to spend some of your disposable income on fancy skincare, then Calecim would be my personal choice. Everything I discussed today is linked in the show notes, along with a discount code that will give you 15% off your purchase. And always check the pinned comments, because if I can find you a better deal, I will always put it there, and I do update that. If you want to keep talking skincare, I have a video about red light therapy right here. If you like beauty and style content with a smidge of conscious consumerism, then please like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. But even if you don't, I hope you have a great week, and we can all remember that even stumbling can be a form of moving forward. So let's stumble in style.